What is going on, guys? Hey, it's Steve Oatley with Freight Broker Live. This is our Freight in 5 morning news segment where we cover some of the top stories from yesterday to today. Plus, we go over the weather, we go over rates, we go over some stuff. So I'm going to jump right in it. I'm going to try to keep it at 5 minutes. Today is February 20th. It is 9:30 Eastern time in the morning. All right, jump into the news. So the first news story that we have today is a pretty cool one. So this company called Outrider, they're an autonomous startup. You know, I know a lot of people hate them or hate autonomous startups, not necessarily this company, because they've been operating in stealth mode, meaning they've been operating, but they didn't let anybody know for the past 2 years, building out these autonomous yard jockeys. It's actually pretty cool that they're trying to, instead of focusing on the line haul like everyone else is doing, they're picking one small segment of the industry and then trying to fix that, and it just happens to be a big issue. Hopefully, it could potentially increase or decrease detention time at shippers and receivers by automating that process of loading and offloading. Plus, if you go to freightbrokerlive.com and check out the article, they posted a very cool video on Twitter or Instagram or something, which I put in the article. Excuse me. But it's pretty cool. It's a very cool system, and I'm very happy for it because I like freight tech, like you guys know. Anyway, next story. So we have some updates in that trucker shooting at the Oklahoma City TA truck stop. Now I ended up getting some more information from police and eyewitness accounts. So apparently, according to eyewitnesses, this is what happened. The security guard he had a little pickup truck like you see there on the video. Anyway, he had his little pickup truck. He's driving around. He goes and sees the truck is parked somewhere where it shouldn't be. It's 4:30 in the morning. He goes and bangs on the truck. Wakes up the driver. Driver comes out. They start going back and forth. No physical contact at that point, but apparently words were exchanged. Driver gets back in his truck, but he doesn't move the truck. So rather than do what the security guard probably should have done, he gets into by calling police or calling a tow truck or just driving away and just saying, okay, screw it. This driver's really tired. He gets into his pickup truck, pulls it close to the semi, and just starts laying on his horn over and over and over and over and just holding his horn down at 4:35 in the morning while there's probably, this parking spot or this truck parking lot has 175 spots. So you've got to figure 50 trucks all sit and park around him. And this guy, security guard's holding the horn. So of course the driver then comes out. The driver was 42 years old. The security guard was 45 years old. Security guard was also a little guy, a 5'8", 180 pounds. They haven't released the names yet, but I was able to get an incident report from the police department, which had this stuff. They ended up getting into a fight, and because he needed to save himself because he was getting beat up, he ends up pulling his Glock 22 40 caliber service weapon and shoots a trucker once in the chest. Now, according to the police, the trucker is going to be okay. They expect him to survive. He's in stable condition, and he's doing much, much better. We don't know who it is. All we know is he had a white Volvo with a flatbed. They're both white guys, so there's no race or anything that could be thrown into this. It all stems to be the original cause was a $15 reserve parking spot. So TA, if any TA people watch this, get rid of your parking spots. Don't charge for parking. It's stupid as hell anyway. Anyway, next story. A human brain. Now, this is an interesting one. The U.S. Customs and Border Patrol seized a human brain that was on Valentine's Day. Go figure. On Valentine's Day at the Blue Water Bridge in Port Huron, I think Michigan, Customs stopped a Canadian Post mail truck that had crossed over from Canada. So they decided to inspect that truck for whatever reason. In going through all the packages, they found one that was marked as antique teaching specimen. They opened it up, and it's a human brain in this container. Now, if that's not weird enough, it was shipped. There was no paperwork for it, which you're supposed to have a bunch of paperwork if you're shipping human brains around, apparently. It originated from Toronto, Canada, and was destined for Kenosha, Wisconsin. It's an interesting story, so I figured I'd put it in there. Contracted purge. So now we're up to 8,000 Amazon contracted employees who are laid off. Another company yesterday announced, a California-based company announced 907, I believe it was 907 layoffs across 4 different states. Now, again, these aren't even the big companies that I've spoken to that are still going to do it. So I may have been off when I said it was 10,000 people that are going to be let go. I think it's going to be closer to 11,000 or 12,000 people that are losing these contracts. It's a big deal. I talked about it in detail yesterday, so I'm not going to talk about it too much, but we're at 8,000 people laid off, or that will be laid off from now until April 5th, April 12th. It's insane. It's no matter how you look at it. Amazon says it was performance based. These drivers all lost their jobs because it was performance based. They weren't performing well. There's a couple of fatal accidents out of 8,000 trucks. There's a couple of fatal accidents within a couple of year period. And they're now saying, well, all these drivers are going to be able to go work for other companies as well, which is true. A lot of these drivers, I talked to several on Facebook. A lot of these drivers already have employment lined up with these 2.0 programs. So the franchisee Amazon programs, the blue vans that you see driving all over the place, the blue vans in that picture, that's what they are. They're franchisee Amazon programs. And Amazon pays these franchisees quite a bit less than what they're paying these third-party contractors, because they use third-party contractors to actually build out the capacity and utilize all the data to figure out what that they can essentially save money by insourcing it all. And apparently, a little birdie told me yesterday that they are starting to offer a franchise program for their day cabs. Now, that's something I haven't been able to verify yet, but as soon as I will, I'll report on that as well, because that's a big deal. And here's another story that's pretty interesting. So DAT is partnered with Knight-Switt to test its first DAT Book It Now feature. I forgot what it's called, DAT Book something. But it's actually pretty neat. Knight-Switt is doing it with truck stop as well. I think Knight-Switt also did a beta test for Book It Now functionality with Trucker Tools, which are one of my sponsors. DAT's one of my sponsors as well. So it's interesting because DAT is, probably the most well-known load board out there. I've tried the the truck stop Book It Now feature. It wasn't for me. As a broker, I didn't like it. I didn't think it wasn't easy to use. So I didn't really like it. And I'm not using it currently. And I'm super excited about that Book It Now feature in general, because I just think it'll make booking freight a lot easier. On the carrier side, I know a lot of carriers are like, well, brokers put out low rates on those Book It Now features. Yeah, they do. So if there's no negotiation in it, then it's kind of pointless. And I don't know, DATs. I asked them for some screenshots or some visibility, and they're going to work on getting them to me, they said. But the coolest thing about this press release that they released saying about the DAT partnership is the very last paragraph. They let it slide that DAT and Knight-Switt were testing out predictive rating tool, or that they had been testing out a predictive rating tool from January until now. Apparently the testing went well, because DAT released in that press release that they are going to be releasing their predictive rating tool in April for mass consumption. I don't know what the deal is. But I'm super duper excited about that, because as you guys know, I was a big fan of other predictive rating tools. And then the more I found it and the more I looked at it, they're very accurate and they're very good at helping a broker or even a carrier know what the lane rates are for that area. But everyone sources their information from DAT anyway. So if in my rationale, the best program is going to come from DAT, because they're the ones who are providing all the data, the raw data that you need in order to do these predictive rating tools. So that's pretty cool. So I already talked about all this. So let me switch over here. I'm going to do weather super quick, because I'm not a meteorologist and I don't know anything about weather. But let's go over here. So as you can see, it's going to be warm as hell down in Florida, like always. Mexico, it's warm. Up in the Northeast, where I used to live, it is 20 degrees right now. Let's see where I used to live. 18 degrees where I used to live. Don't miss it that much. Jersey, North, I'm in the 40s. I am not a weather person, so I don't know. But as you can see, it's cold as hell up in the upper Midwest. It is still pretty cold up in Washington State, and then it's not really that warm in California either. So who knows? It's just warm here in Florida, apparently. And I hate it. So it's too warm. All right. And the next thing we're going to look at is the hot market map from DAT. If you could see load to truck ratios, actually, let me just skip this one and go over here. Whoop, what the hell did I do? Let me go. I'm already over that 5-minute mark, but whatever. All right. So if you look over here, this is a telling sign. Like I said yesterday in my live video, I think rates are coming back. We're seeing posted load, the volumes of loads increasing across all modes. So it doesn't matter if it's flatbed, reefer, or dry van. The spot load posts are up quite a bit higher, and the truck posts are down across all modes. So it's pretty interesting. Fuel diesel national average is down to 291. And if you look at the revenues, they're not as low as what you would think they would be, considering we're in February. and coming out of 2019, which sucked freight wise. But the average national rate for dry van is $1.80. National average rate for flatbed is $2.90, or I'm sorry, I wish it was $2.94, right? Is $2.14, and for reefer it's $2.11. So that's pretty interesting. Guys, this is a free tool you can get from DAT. Go under industry trends and go to DAT trend lines. So you go to DAT.com, industry trends, and DAT trend lines, and you can look it up by region. You could do it, all over the place. It's super cool. It's super easy. It's super free. So why don't you use it? Make sure you check out freightbrokerlive.com for all your breaking freight news written by someone that actually works in the industry. Full disclaimer, I am not a writer. You may find spelling errors or something in there. Just kind of deal with it. Eventually, I'll hire writers and stuff. But right now, it's just me doing everything that I can. Tune in live, 2 o'clock every single day. You can find it on social media, YouTube. You can find the link on my website as I go live. I go live and I just talk about random stuff in the transportation industry. A lot of tips and tricks to be successful and all sorts of other stuff. Thank you for watching. We will see you later.